It was a quiet Friday evening, the kind that seems ordinary on the surface, yet carries an unease you can't quite explain. The city outside murmured softly, streetlights casting faint golden streaks across our kitchen walls. We sat across from each other at our small, polished wooden table, the gentle clink of glasses breaking the silence. I gripped my wine glass tightly, the liquid inside catching the light as if mocking the storm I was about to release. Months of unspoken grievances, subtle resentments, and hidden betrayals had piled up, like snow slowly building toward an avalanche. I knew that one night, one drink, and one sentence could change everything, and I had chosen this moment with care. The first sip of wine burned slightly as it slid down my throat, a reminder that tonight's words would carry weight far beyond the warmth of alcohol. He looked at me, expecting the usual polite exchange, the familiar small talk that once masked the growing distance between us. But tonight was different. I had spent hours rehearsing, measuring each word, each pause, each breath, calculating how to deliver the impact I intended. Every omission, every lie he had told, every hidden action I had uncovered led to this moment. Tonight would force him to face all of it. I felt a strange mix of nerves and resolve, knowing this single, carefully chosen sentence would dismantle everything he believed about our marriage. Finally, I leaned forward slightly and held his gaze with steady, unflinching intensity. The words came out slowly, deliberately. I can't trust you anymore because you've already given parts of yourself away without me knowing. The sentence, though simple, struck like a bolt of lightning. His expression froze, confusion flashing across his face before horror and disbelief took over. The air between us seemed to thicken, almost pause, as if the room itself understood the weight of what had been said. For the first time, he truly realized that the foundation of trust we had built over years was fractured, perhaps beyond repair, and that this moment marked a point of no return. The silence that followed was nearly unbearable, broken only by the faint ticking of the wall clock and the low hum of the refrigerator. Every shared memory, every smile, every seemingly ordinary moment now felt shadowed by what had been hidden. He opened his mouth, stumbling, trying to explain, justify, or soften the blow. But my words had landed too cleanly. The truth behind every omission, every concealed intention, every half-truth had surfaced in one devastating instant. The weight pressed down on both of us, making the room feel smaller, tighter, suffocating. I watched the color drain from his face, his hands gripping the wine glass until his knuckles turned white. Shock and heartbreak collided in his eyes as the meaning of my words settled heavily in his chest. He couldn't deny it. He couldn't escape the reality I had just exposed. The trust that once anchored our relationship now hung by the thinnest, most fragile thread, fraying under the force of one carefully spoken sentence. I could almost feel invisible cracks spreading silently through the foundation of our marriage, leaving us both suspended in uncertainty. The conversation that followed was tense, raw, and unfiltered. We both exposed truths we had buried from each other, years of small resentments, quiet fears, and unspoken disappointments that had built up like layers of sediment along the bed of a river. I spoke about moments that had cut deeper than he ever realized, actions that had left lasting scars, and the emotional distance he had slowly created between us. He admitted to omissions, mistakes, and choices he had buried, hoping they would never surface. Each revelation stretched the fragile bridge between us even thinner, forcing us to face painful truths we had avoided for far too long. His eyes were wide with disbelief and sorrow, the full weight of our shared history pressing down as he absorbed every word. My sentence had not only exposed his lies, it had shattered the illusion we were living in. It was a quiet Friday evening, the kind that appears ordinary on the surface, yet carries an undercurrent of tension you can't quite name. The city outside hummed softly, streetlights casting faint golden streaks across the kitchen walls. We sat across from each other at our small, polished wooden table, the faint clinking of glasses punctuating the silence. I held my wine glass tightly, the liquid catching the light as if mocking the storm I was about to release. Months of unspoken grievances, subtle resentments, and hidden betrayals had accumulated, like snow slowly building into an avalanche. I knew that one night, one drink, and one sentence could change everything, and I had chosen that moment carefully. The first sip of wine burned slightly as it slid down my throat, a reminder that tonight's words would carry weight far beyond the warmth of alcohol, that had settled like layers of sediment along the bed of a river. I spoke about moments that had cut deeper than he ever realized, actions that had left lasting scars, and the emotional distance he had created between us. He admitted to omissions, mistakes, and choices he had kept buried, hoping they would never surface. Each revelation placed more strain on the fragile bridge still connecting us, forcing us to face uncomfortable truths we had avoided for years. His eyes widened with disbelief and sorrow, the weight of our shared history pressing down as he absorbed every word. My sentence had not only exposed his lies, but it also shattered the illusion of normalcy that had concealed the fractures in our marriage for so long. He tried to speak, but his words faltered, unable to close the gap that had been opened. The emotional impact was overwhelming. For the first time, he seemed to understand that the trust he had taken for granted was gone, replaced by the heavy, undeniable truth of what I had said. The tension in the room became almost tangible, thick with anger, heartbreak, and raw vulnerability. Hours passed in intense, broken conversation. Each moment revealed more cracks, more truths, and more unresolved pain. We attempted to navigate the chasm between us, but every effort at reconciliation only highlighted how fragile and damaged the foundation had become. In the long stretches of silence, I realized that a single sentence could do more than communicate. It could unravel years of deception, expose hidden realities, and force both of us to confront the raw, uncomfortable truth we had avoided for far too long. The evening had become a reckoning, an emotional collision that allowed no room for denial or escape. By the end of the night, the toll was clear on both of us. He sat across from me, stunned, shaken, and painfully aware of every truth I had revealed. The bonds that once held us together were fragile, worn thin by deception. Yet the truth stood exposed, undeniable, and unavoidable. I felt both relief and sorrow. Relief that honesty had finally broken through, and sorrow for the heartbreak and shattered trust it left behind. Our marriage hung in the balance, suspended between despair and the faint possibility of a slow, painful rebuilding. That night marked a turning point, not through shouting or anger, but through the quiet, undeniable power of one carefully chosen sentence. One drink, one calm moment, and one precise declaration had shattered trust, revealed hidden lies, and forced a confrontation with reality neither of us could ignore. The marriage we once knew hung by a thread, irrevocably changed, yet clarified in a way that left no illusions. In that tense, transformative night, I understood a devastating truth. Words, when used with intention and precision, can change everything forever.